Good morning on this magnificent Monday. Hope your day is starting out well. Many people have the week off, Christmas. Others are working. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Hope you're enjoying it. We want to enjoy every day. And I was going to talk about Christmas movies today, but I'm pushing that till tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll talk about Christmas movies. Today I wanted to talk about a different movie that I went and saw last night, Mufasa, the Lion King. Because of that, I'm drinking with one of my old Lion King mugs. And I've had this mug for a long, long time. You know, I saw The Lion King, the original, 30 years ago, 30 and a half years ago, because it came out in the spring. Saw it at a theater here in Missoula right after I had graduated college before heading to Japan. And that theater is not even there anymore. But I've always been a Lion King fan. So I had to go see Mufasa, the origin story of the Lion King and Simba's father from the original movie. Now, this movie was more of a prequel to the 2019 version of the Lion King, which was more, that CGI. They look more real than the animated ones. And I actually like the animated version better. But this one is a sequel to that CGI where they look more realistic. And so it was that type of CGI filming. Now, it looked magnificent. I mean, I saw it on the IMAX last night and just huge, beautiful scenery, beautifully done. But I still sort of like the old animated type, just for old time's sake. And I just like those. But it was magnificently done as far as visuals. Now, the story I enjoyed, maybe not as much as the original Lion King story, but I enjoyed it. I did like that they opened it with a quote by James Earl Jones from the original movie with his voice, and then put in memory of James Earl Jones, who was the voice of Mufasa and so many great things that he did throughout his career. So I did like that little hearing his voice and that honoring him at the beginning of the film. The story I enjoyed. It was interesting to see how Mufasa grew up, how Scar grew up and became the characters that we know from the original Lion King. Now, it was told in sort of a flashback. So they took the characters from the 2019, Simba and Nala and their little cub. And Simba and Nala went off and left their cub with Pumbaa and Timon and Rafiki. And Rafiki ends up telling the story of the cub's grandfather, Mufasa. So they tell it sort of in flashbacks. I found the Timba and Timon parts annoying. You could cut those completely out and I wouldn't care. They're put in there for some kind of humor and stuff. But whenever they came back to them two, I was sort of annoyed and I wanted to get back to the story about Mufasa. So I enjoyed that story. I didn't like the little breaks with Timon and Pumbaa and some of their chatter. But, that's just me. The movie did not do near as well as Sonic this weekend. If you're looking at box office, Sonic was a much bigger hit. The Disney's Mufasa did not do near as well as they hoped or anticipated. I still enjoyed it. I can see a little bit why Mufasa didn't do as good as Sonic with the younger kids. Okay. But it was still an enjoyable movie. I'm glad I went. I enjoyed seeing how Mufasa became Mufasa, Scar became Scar, had a good message to the story. So it was enjoyable. The only thing not enjoyable was having to get up in the middle of the movie and walk down and tell some kids to put their phones away because their parents wouldn't do it. That just blows my mind, how the lack of respect people have, and then parents not teaching their kids respect. I mean, the kids should have listened to Sonic. They had the big thing before the movie started with the Sonic character telling everybody, don't text, don't pull your phones out, keep your phones put away. The kids didn't even listen to Sonic. And their parents did not a damn thing about it. So there's kids they all had their phones out before the movie started. So I was like, I hope that's not going to be a problem, because they were doing their phones during the previews and such. They did put their phones away when the movie started, but about halfway through, a couple of them pulled out their phones. And not just for a quick something. They pulled up games or something, because they're just going off and not putting their phones away. And I'm like, screw this, because they were right sort of in front of me, right where it's in my face, that bright phones. They're very distracting. So I walked down there and said, put your phones away or go outside. I said it sort of mean, leaned over the back of their chair and, said it low, in a low voice, but in a mean voice. The parents looked at me and I was ready for them to mouth off, and they didn't. So fine. If they're not going to teach their kids to be respectful, somebody else needs to do it. But that was the only negative thing about the whole movie, really. Want to say good morning to Vito. Thank you. He has a Christmas break for about 9 days. Well, I hope you enjoy your break. I know you've been working hard at school. Appreciate you showing up and saying hello. Thad's here. Good morning, Thad. Appreciate you showing up and saying hello as well. Vito says, yeah, I also hate when people use their phones while watching a show, movie. Like, why even buy a ticket if you're just going to play? I agree. And it is so disrespectful to everybody else, especially those that can see that bright light when they're trying to watch the screen. It's sad that they even have to announce it before movies and telling people, please don't take your phone out. And then they still don't do it. And to have parents letting their kids do it right there and not correcting them and teaching them respectful behaviors, that's why we have problems that we have today. Little lack of respect grows into bigger lack of respect and bigger problems. It does. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Vicky. Appreciate you guys being here. But enough of the negative stuff. Mufasa was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. Maybe not as much as the original Lion King, but it was a good origin story, had a good positive message, and it was fun to watch. Great visuals as far as the way they do that CGI, making it look real, just magnificent scenery and stuff. So it was pretty cool that way. Dixon's here. Good morning, Dixon. Dixon says, big screen TVs at home make it a habit, most likely, and why they broke out their phones after a short interval there in the theater. Probably, yep. It's a habit, and can't go very long without getting your phone. Oh my God. It's proven. I've watched studies on kids with phones, and, they're addicted and they can't go without it. Like friends of mine that are teachers have that problem in schools. And their parents are doing nothing to correct that kind of disrespectful behavior. Anyway, Mufasa, if you like the original Lion King, if you like the 2019 version Lion King, it's a fun sequel prequel. I call it a sequel because they're showing the sequel, the modern time after what happened in the 2019 movie, but it's flashback story to Mufasa's younger. So that's why it's a prequel sequel. And it was fun, enjoyable if you like that kind of movie. And I do like that. And so I had a good time. That's my take on it. Don't want to give spoilers, so I'm not really telling much other than that. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for the comments. Hope everybody has a magnificent Monday. We'll talk about some holiday movies tomorrow on Christmas Eve. Sign up for the newsletter if you haven't yet. EnjoyLifeSafely.com. Get some information to keep yourself safe all year round. That stuff's important. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.